I challenge you to a duel.
Oh, wait. That was a good shot there. I gotta give it to you, man. That was a pretty good one. Well, I guess it's my turn now, huh? So, here we go. You ready? Ooh, yeah. Welcome to the Iron Side.
Hey, everybody. Hope
Hello.
everybody's having a good evening.
Yes.
I think some of us are in some cold places.
It might be slightly cold. Should I
Blair
leave the
and
camera
Teag.
on so you can see my breath fogging?
I have 2 space heaters to go on each side.
Space heaters,
Yes.
the final
I've
frontier.
got one too. So. Well, I hope everybody's had a good week and looking forward to this one. Beard, what's up, man?
Hey, how's it going? Y'all gonna have to do with a bouncy beard logo for today. I'm not in my normal location, so I cannot disclose where, and so it's gonna have to remain a secret. But looking forward to getting into this. Star Trek Next Generation, Deep Space Nine both go back and forth with me on my favorite Star Trek series. They both have their really strong points of really good later seasons, and especially once you get into the Dominion War, this show's got some really killer episodes, great characters, great acting, and I'm glad that you're doing this, and I'm looking forward to getting into the episodes for today.
Yeah, definitely. And joining us again, Admiral Teag.
Made.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, there he is.
I have returned. I was just practicing some good muting discipline, and I gotta say, I'm just gonna be honest. This was not ever my favorite Star Trek show. Is it a good show?
Hey, that's all
It's
right.
a really good. Listen, it's a really good show. Would I rather watch this than almost anything else? Absolutely. Do I think that these characters are fantastic? Yeah, I love Star Trek, and this is real Star Trek, and it's real good Star Trek. But I would say we could sum up the problems that Deep Space Nine has as a whole, and the show does get better, especially with the addition of Worf and the Defiant and things like that. So we already have the Defiant by the time we get to season 3, but we need a few more characters. And I'd say the most beautiful thing here is that this is the last time that the people who wrote the show got letters from the people who watched the show who said, we want more characters, we want a ship, we want more exploring, and they gave it to us. But the problems of this show can be summed up in that introduction we watched was better than the one that they gave us. Their introduction is good, but it was the first Star Trek show that started out without, space. The final frontier from what would become a great actor. They weren't a great actor when they did it, right? So what would become a great actor? So there's now so much pressure with what's happened, and you've got these Next Generation. The show's still going on, but the movies are dying terrible deaths at the box office because they're stupid and they're horrible. The Next Generation movies, they're some of the worst Star Trek we've ever seen. So with this show, I appreciate how brilliant it is. They're building up to the really good part of it, but just like their show. Watch their beginning. It's sort of pointless. It's like we don't really know what's going on. There's no one directing us or giving us direction. Captain Sisko isn't making an inspirational speech, but it's good. It's a great show.
All of the characters too in the first season are like, okay, you're this kind of character and you're this kind of character. There's no real,
Oh, poor Dax.
wanting
Terry
to know
Farrell
more
doesn't
about
know
him and
what
stuff.
to do.
But it does. Even I've heard a lot of people say that Sisko's a little off-putting in the first season, but all of their characters really grow once they get into season 2.
He doesn't really shine until he goes full hawk.
Yeah, he's an asshole in season. I'm sorry,
right.
he's a real jerk in season 1. His coldness towards Picard, we weren't ready for that until, honestly, by the time we get to this season, we've seen 2 terrible movies. I think I checked episode 1 is right before the first movie comes out. So they're still riding a little too high on themselves. By the time they film the other episodes, they've seen that movie was not too well received, by which I mean Generations. I think that's going to be, but they're going to have to overcome these movies not doing so well becomes the pressure on them.
Right. Yep. And Mando. Hello.
Hello. I still don't know anything. I am still a noob.
she's getting a lord dump before the show, and she's like,
The whole like.
Starting. What was that movie? The I've never seen it, but the Clockwork Orange, the guy in the chair with his eyes open.
Oh yeah, but
That's what
making him
Mando
watch
was
the ultra violence, so he'll start to
Yeah.
resent violence and not want to be violent. Yeah,
We're making her watch.
it
Star Trek.
worked.
It worked.
Got her eyelids clamped open.
Yeah. And welcoming back Blair.
hey. Yeah, Deep Space Nine and Next Generation go back and forth between my favorite Star Treks. This definitely was the last series that had good writing, and it was a decent one. Voyager started going downhill. Enterprise, no, and then that was it. So, it's a pleasure to talk about good sci-fi for a change.
Yeah. I know we're not talking about Enterprise, but I really like the whole Xindi War arc.
That was much better than that
I mean,
Cold War
it was.
crap stuff.
They got rid of that at the end of season 1, thank God. They read our minds with that one. I also think that Enterprise starts with the writers in a room getting screamed at. That we had the most unrelatable end of Voyager. It was nonsensical, and Deep Space Nine picked it up in the middle, but falls off right at the end again too. And didn't have the best final episode. And they were like, "We don't want another show where people are walking around saying things that no one can relate to." And if you watch Enterprise, people are unshaven, people are filthy, people are eating in every episode. And we're starting to get those memos on Deep Space Nine. No one can relate to your characters. This show's not clicking. We're going to bring in some new people. They already know this. They're setting the stage for this Dominion War very well. But we see people eating. They're just not putting the food in their mouth yet. By the time we get to Enterprise, we're chewing and talking with our mouths full because we really want us to believe that they're people. But we see O'Brien dirty in this episode, I believe, while he's doing some... Oh, no, I'm sorry. I watched one episode further in where they accidentally triggered the self-destruct mechanism on the station.
Oh, yeah.
Which was a fun episode. And I want to defend Star Trek Enterprise just a little. There are more well-written Enterprise episodes than there are poorly written ones. It's just the compromises they had to make to get there really annoy people. And the frustrating thing about that show is if there had been one less mistake, it would have gotten renewed and we never would have gotten this garbage Trek we have now. And let's remember, we stand here, and as far as I'm considered, the fine people in my company are all that remains of the United Federation of Planets. And we are the only people, you know what? We must turn our blazing saddle into a torch to light the way, because you know what? The citizens of Rock Ridge and the Final Frontier have been very much beaten around and oppressed since 2009. It's been 16 years of horrible product. And you know what? If we don't go back and celebrate the quality of something like Deep Space Nine, who will? We at least have great music. We have a different sound environment in every room. This is fantastic television. Whether or not it's the greatest of Star Trek, this is the most different and atypical Star Trek show. And to me, it's number one is TOS, number two is Enterprise, and number three is, believe it or not, please forgive me, guys, it's TNG/Voyager. Sometimes I just like the Captain Proton episodes. Voyager was at least fun. When Deep Space Nine doesn't work, it just goes grim. This show is the grimmest Star Trek show until New Trek.
Yeah.
And thanks for Section 31, Deep Space Nine. Thanks a lot for that.
Yeah. It worked well for Deep Space Nine, but after that, no.
It's only in 3 episodes. They abuse it in Enterprise. Actually, it's in Malcolm Reed is a Section 31 operative the whole time. But now, Rachel Garrett, captain of the Enterprise C, is a Section 31 agent, which means I know. But their take on it is now that the Battle of Narendra 3 that solidifies the Klingon-human alliance is actually a false flag operation where the Romulans are the victims. That's how misguided modern Trek is. So if people had listened to us, there would be no wokeness. We stand up against the woke mind virus. It destroyed Star Trek first. And Jacob, you are a mighty general in that war. I thank you for letting me be here. And now I'll mute and shut up so you can talk about our episodes.
Shieldwall, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me on. It's good to be on here. Nice to see Blair and Admiral Teag again on here. Beard and Mando as always.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah. Yeah, I liked DS9, I guess, because it wasn't the standard formula of flying to a new planet and getting into adventures and stuff. And it was because it was static, I felt that it could add some different kind of stories could be told. Like the whole Quark thing with the bar. I guess you could have done it on a ship if he'd been like a 10 forward or something. But having a place that is static that that can't go away. Like you can't just be like, oh, this place sucks, I'm leaving. You got to stay there to tell the stories. I thought that was interesting, and some of the ways that it went with them. Yeah, it wasn't always perfect, but I think it did well.
Dave's the Ferengi.
Who? What? Oh,
The Ferengi are kind of on the scrap heap of Star Trek species because they messed them up, and they were compared to a couple of racial groups in a pejorative manner, which was, in my opinion, overblown and unintended.
I really think that but they used DS9 to really flesh the Ferengi out to where they became they're like my favorite, almost my favorite.
And the Bajorans too.
Yeah,
Really-
the Bajorans too.
I
really
hate the
like
Bajorans, but I love the Ferengis.
I like the Ferengis and how their whole society works. If you think about it, it kind of sort of makes sense, right? Like, I could see how this could function. And
Yeah.
yeah,
And there's a lot of situations we run into in other Star Trek shows where you're like, the Ferengi are responsible for that. Like when we see Samaritans there and we find these cavemen have a spaceship and the Pakleds are idiots and they're stunning Geordi over and over. It's like, who could have given them a ship? And you're like, I know who gave them the ship. It was definitely the Ferengi. You can have this powerful ship if we can have all your dilithium crystals. And they're like, okay, we want to be strong. It's like, you'll be strong. They are great.
So glad. I am so glad they didn't make the Ferengi the new bad guys. Oh, that would have been
yeah, they had their little.
They
fur
were
guns
supposed
and
to
their
be.
laser whips or whatever.
Yeah.
That was one of the coolest weapons we'd ever seen, though.
Yes.
They use it once, unfortunately, and then we see it again in Enterprise, where the Ferengi is played by Neelix.
Yeah.
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 But anyway, glad to be here, and these episodes were pretty good. It gets better as the season goes on. But yeah, these are two decent ones. And compared to most of the shows, not any of the shows, but most of the shows out now, the writing is just top tier spectacular. So
Well, especially when we're getting basically garbage every single day.
yeah.
Yeah, episode 6 is kind of a little bit cringe, but it's still, like, you compare that to any modern Star Trek or Star Wars story, and it's 100,000 times better. 100. Book of Boba Fett wishes it was as good as the worst 5 minutes. The best 5 minutes of Book of Boba Fett harvested from their entire show is not as good as the worst 5 minutes of this. Quark poking around in that garbage is better than all of Book of Boba Fett.
Exactly. Yeah. He put in the ship garbage.
More acting, more feeling.
Yeah.
When he opens that thing up and he's like, that was great. You knew it was something bad, and then they go to commercial.
Here's my take. Morn has better dialogue than most new modern shows.
Yes.
Yeah, more to say,
I
definitely.
agree.
Isn't more an animatronic, right?
His
He doesn't
singing-
really move.
his
Yeah, he doesn't
singing-
have any lines.
He's just a dude in a suit.
His singing is better than any
He
new
eventually
Star Trek.
dies. If I remember, we have an episode where
he
he's called
faked-
"Who Mourns for Morn."
Right, but
He
it was
pretended.
he faked his death,
Morn.
and everybody came out to get the latinum that he was on.
Right,
the
he was,
with. And
his
he had it
stomach
in
was
his-
full of
Yeah,
love.
he had
thought you
extra
were-
stomachs, so he kept one in there, and that's why he lost all his hair. He used to be good looking, and young, but because he kept the latinum in him, it poisoned him and made his hair fall out and made him look all weird. I mean, he
what
already
happened to
kind of
me.
looked like a weird alien, but
I thought,
he was. A lot
you
more
were
handsome.
talking about Quark's brother.
Oh,
I
Rom.
forget his name.
Rom.
Yeah, Rom.
Yeah. His singing is better than New Star Trek.
Oh yeah, where he screeches.
Mhm.
Yeah. Hey, he married that Dabo girl, so he's all good.
That new Star
Yeah.
Trek episode where they sang was just my stars. By the way, the heat came on, so Star Trek does
Yeah, this-
fix all problems.
Hey.
This lady is
Yeah.
is a what do you call her? A smuggler? I think
She's
so.
from Boston.
I think. Yeah, she's from. Yeah.
She's a masshole from Boston. That's not technically cursing, Jacob. I'm being very careful with my language for you.
Okay.
I have my agonizer out. If I say anything profane, I get a little shock.
So, Quark is buying some scrap from her that she found. It's like, should have looked at the scrap first.
Yeah, it's
And the
salvaged
question is,
from the
did
ship.
she? The question is, did she? Right? Like, is she just trying to palm this
Yeah.
thing off on Quark because she knows that it's got, like... Basically, guys, this is a little bit of the movie Alien, but not quite as bad. It's too slow motion for people to get as hurt as bad as an alien, but we've got a xenomorph,
I thought
for
for sure
lack of a better term.
she would be the type that would sell it for something.
Yeah, that's to my mind. She didn't.
Yeah.
She didn't even look
Yeah.
at it. She
Right.
whacked some Dominion ship, and she's like, "I got some scraps that I pulled into my cargo hold with my tractor beam. You want them?" And she rubs his ears, and he's like, "Okay."
I love this part. He's like,
Umax.
oh, great.
Yeah. Here's the,
And
the crying baby. He's like, oh.
But-
And I can't be proven wrong, so I'm just going to say something that might not be true, but I'll say it like it's true. And you can see here they've reused the prop from TNG Symbiosis that held the huge dose of mega drugs that they were selling to the planet where the people only thought they had a drug problem, where everyone was a cast member of Wrath of Khan.
There we get our title, The Abandoned.
I want sick bay.
He's like, you bought a baby?
Well,
You know
It's
what?
like,
I bought-
no,
I didn't know it was a
just bought scrap.
baby.
I can explain.
Wait,
Yeah,
it's totally
that's right.
believable
Wasn't the
that-
helmsman from Wrath of Khan? Wasn't he the guy selling him the drugs or something in that episode?
You're talking about in the episode Symbiosis, we have two societies, and they have
Nelson?
just enough.
Yeah.
They have just enough tech, and it's Merrick Buttrick is the pilot of the freighter that brings the non-drugs back and forth from the one planet, from Planet Pimp to Planet Addict.
Right.
And the guy from Planet Pimp is Joaquin, the helmsman from the Reliant Khan's guy.
Yeah,
Now, I don't
okay,
know if
that's
it's
what I
the
thought.
same character and recast or just the same name, but Khan has a Joaquin in Space Seed as well. And it's a Joaquin with an M, proudly, a proud Latino name, because there's no such thing as Latinx, but not Joaquin with an M, like in lame Captain Falcon, a movie that I can't recommend.
Good
Latinx
actor
is
Judd
a,
Nelson. He was in that.
Kleenex, it's a
it was
Mexican
called-
Kleenex brand.
Exactly.
So the doctor's like, this baby's got a really high metabolic rate, I think. So it means he's just growing quickly.
This troubled me.
Didn't know why.
On a dialogue level, this troubled me. You ready? This is the problem with Julian. Now, everyone's true to character, and I enjoy it. And they've really got Dax's distinction down for her species. She looks like a Trill. You know what I mean? I hate the lavender shirts; they suck. But this is not your father's Starfleet uniforms, and this is not your father's Starfleet. So he comes out and he says a bunch of things that just shouldn't add up. You ready? His metabolic rate is absolutely incredible, but due to the lack of anomalies, I'm absolutely not worried. Wait a minute, what you described is an anomaly. You just came out and just like,
Yeah.
well, they've got dementia, but I don't think they're insane. It's like, wait, what the fuck? Julian here is making a distinction without a difference, and he's just saying words, and this is bad dialogue. And basically, all they do is in an ineffective and confusing way that's scienced up because they're afraid of this script a little bit, and they are afraid of this script. You know what? There's a case for a two-parter here. That's why I think they're afraid of this script a little bit. Yeah, they want to flashbang your brain a little bit with some techno babble. So he comes out and it's just everything about this is wrong. So since there's nothing wrong or suspicious about that, I would be suspicious if it wasn't. So since it's all kosher to me, I figure, why not? I'm going to have a cheeseburger and I'm going to have a chocolate shake and I'm going to say that it's kosher and people aren't going to contradict me because no one knows better. Okay. And I'm like, you can't call something like all outliers and then say, but since there's nothing wrong with it, I see no anomalies. It's like, you don't know what to expect. You have to say something like, this is a unique life form, Captain. And they missed one of the things that Star Trek is made for. And I'm sorry to preach on this one, but we have found new life. And everyone's like, on a station. I knew it. Like, this is why I joined the Federation. Instead, we get Sisko being like, oh, goo-goo over this baby, which is fine.
Yeah.
I applaud that this episode showed men being fatherly, something that we will not do anymore. But I thought that we missed a really good chance to have Star Trek be like, and we don't know what kind of child it is. We could have teased a little Jeopardy without going too hard into it to have, just like, we don't know. And maybe show like a phase where the baby grows just a little bit, goes from this to like, say 5. You know what I mean? Because we're rapid growth is going to come into this. So Julian's dialogue here, I thought was poorly thought out.
Yeah, it's and they do this a lot in Star Trek where they say something that it makes sense scientifically, and that dialogue doesn't jive with that.
It doesn't make scientific sense, and we as laymen know enough about science, even in 1994, where we were not familiar. Like, if they had said an artificial intelligence, we would have needed a moment. Hello, Nadia. We might have needed a minute to figure out an AI, but on this one, when they said it's genetically different from anything we ever saw, but since there's nothing strange about that, and we don't see any anomalies, I'm not going to worry. It's like, I get it. You wanted us to know that this child was okay, but that was a very bad line. That was very bad dialogue, Julian.
So then it jumps ahead a little while, and if we go to it, there, boom.
And this is 4 days later, right?
Yeah, something like that.
And Quark has missed this, but okay, it works for TV. Oh, I'm sorry, Odo has missed this, right? Has he been in sick bay this whole time, right?
Yeah,
they're
he's
keeping
been
him
chilling
sort
in
of,
chilling in sick
and
bay.
it's isolation sick bay too. Like, they're not too sure. They're at least showing decent caution. I still hate those Starfleet uniforms. Everyone needs like a gold chain on the outside of their shirt, but under their jacket, and it would be just like we're hanging out in Queens in like 1988.
I'm not a big fan of the purple, but I do like the fact that Miles has always got his sleeves rolled up. He's like, screw actual official uniform. I'm wearing.
Yeah, right.
I hadn't thought of that, but yeah, this show takes a rebellious stand against the future where people don't need to shave and stuff. In episode 1, the first thing they show us is a dirty, grubby Starfleet guy who's been working real hard.
Yeah.
He's just an extra. We move right past him, but that's setting the tone.
So
No,
time
they
goes
freak
by
out.
again. Just get back.
I love
in
how
sick
Julian
bag.
is
Boom.
always sort of, ingratiating.
thrown.
Yeah, he didn't use his super strength yet, right? Julian has to be told that he's an augment before he starts using his super strength. He's like, I'd better let this kid throw me around. We have to look back and remember that. This was
Then
an
he
okay
sees
effect
Odo.
for the time
It's like-
that we did it.
Yeah.
So I did
Well,
forget
when he
one
saw
thing.
Odo-
They figure out
Go ahead.
he knows things he shouldn't know. He's growing this fast, so he knows things he shouldn't know. So they kind of assume that he's been genetically modified.
Oh,
He's
Julian
GMO.
gives us...
He's a GMO person.
Julian Bashir has given us the story. We have gone a little too simple on this, and honestly, this would have been a very boring two-parter. So what they do is we get a one-part episode that's just, it's crammed with information and trying to have a story too. So Julian is like, oh, it's self-educating too because of some sort of DNA. It's like, that's how not how genetics work. It's just like, so it's taught itself how to talk is something that we've been told, and Julian's just been like, yeah, I see this stuff every day, and it's just not And like we've watched enough Star Trek to be like, what's going on? But in this cool sequence, the character, no spoilers, this unknown infant has now aged to about 15. It's got long hair. You know, it seems to be a Norse skin or perhaps like a Klingon sort of look beginning to develop, maybe Cardassian. But as it's running loose on the promenade, it's very much in control. It's not afraid, but when it runs, it jumps at Odo and goes through him in one of the most daring effects on TV at the time. And it mostly works. And even now, it's not so ambitious or so poorly done that I'll just say it didn't happen to me. Anyone here? Was anyone torn out of the show by the low grade CGI?
No,
because
never
you.
bothered
So
me.
you have to call it a win there. Well conceived early CGI, and they didn't build the scene around it. They just were like, we can do this.
At the time, okay. So if you saw it at the time, it looked pretty good. And you
Into
knew that it
Odo,
was
and he's like
What
completely
the heck just happened?
subservient immediately.
Well,
Go ahead.
he
Shieldwall, what
realizes
were you
when he
saying?
passes through him that he's what he is.
Yeah, I was just
Yeah.
going to say, for at the time, if you watched this when it came out on network TV, it was cool. You were like, oh, that's pushing the envelope. Now you look back on it and you just realize that, hey, this was the technology they had at the time. They did the best they could, and you could tell they tried their best. They didn't try to, do it halfway or make the cheap way or anything. And so it to me it still holds up. I mean, it's not like CGI you'd see in a modern movie or anything, but for a TV show in the 90s, it's pretty good. And
Right.
you got to
It doesn't
make
take
that
you
kind
out of the
allowance,
moment at
right?
all.
It doesn't take you out exactly.
Yeah.
You got to make
And
allowance.
the makeup is another thing. The makeup gets better as the series goes on.
Well, yeah,
too.
because they get more used to putting it on. They're able to refine it.
Yeah.
Cut down the amount of time it takes to actually put it on, because they learn new techniques and the actors, get used to it. And all
Now-
that good stuff.
If they did this, they could touch up just a little bit of CGI to take off those rough edges and stuff, and then it'd make it really good.
There's an episode of Regis and Kathy Lee where Armin Shimmerman comes on as himself at the beginning of the show, leaves, and they do him up in makeup in record time. It was the fastest they ever did him, but he comes out as a believable, like, functioning Quark and just interacts with them as Quark at the end of the show. It's an easy Google.
Cool.
That's pretty fun.
So Starfleet wants the kid. They want to,
Of course they did.
I guess.
Have we figured out what's
all
going
kinds
on
of
here?
stuff on.
Yeah,
they
Did
know
we
they
say
know
the
it.
J? Did we say the
Yeah,
J word?
uh-huh.
they have.
Yep, he's a Jem'Hadar kid.
Okay, that's our secret here, guys, and that's apparently why he was shipped in stasis, because a Jem'Hadar is one step below, like the Velociraptors from Jurassic Park. They just go nuts. With you can only control them like the
Yeah,
Jurassic
right.
Park dinosaurs. They have to have that thing that they have to be dependent on the grass in Jurassic Park, so they won't leave, right? So, like, you have to control them, and we'll get into that in a little while, because that's our next story twist. But what happens is the Jem'Hadar grow from, like, kind of adorable babies to still fairly cute kids to, relatable teenagers. It's a total monsters out of nowhere, and the thing is, it's like I don't know where you guys live, but every year or two, someone here like has to abandon the alligator they let get too big in their bathtub in the bay near City Field where the Mets play. And, Metsy the alligator gets a few mafia victims before the end of the season. And that's what this reminded me of.
Now imagine, why does the Jem'Hadar baby have to look cute? Because the whole reason babies look cute is so makes you want to take care of them.
It's like
Imagine if it
thing.
was actually like a lizard. He opens it up and there's a lizard in there, and then it grows into this human.
I hadn't thought of that, but think about this. It makes them want to take care of it because Sisko loves the thing. It's like one of
Yeah,
those horror
it
stories where it's like, I knew these people who adopted a dog. They found it down by the dock. And then, they couldn't find their cat and the dog was sick and they brought it to the vet and they found out it was like a South American rat that ate their cat. And I'm like, wait, what? It's like he's taking home this horrible creature that was once really cute, but like maybe that's part of the sophistication of it as a genetic weapon. It's like, we've given it a cuteness gene so that people will like be nice to the babies they find and they'll just go nuts on them because this thing is going to go berserko. And that's what happened to it when we confronted it in the hallway earlier. What happened was this thing is like growing like a weed. No one knows what's going on. A few days go by, and then Julian's kind of got a handle on it, but this thing escapes because they're not ready for it to be so aggressive. It's a Jem'Hadar. The Jem'Hadar, for those who don't know, are the fighters and the Klingons of the Dominion. And we're rolling out the Dominion, and Jacob very, very wisely chose an episode that starts us off. These are the foot soldiers of the Dominion, the Jem'Hadar. So we're going to get what they're like, what their limitations are, and kind of why we should pity them, too. This was kind of brilliant. The first time we've met them before. We've done battle with them. They've taken Starfleet lives. They're bad, bad guys. But now we're going to see that there's a pathetic angle to them. They're still to be feared, but they're terrible.
And what we're seeing here is Odo standing up for him because Starfleet wants to take him and study him and experiment on him. And that's what,
like they did to him.
To Odo. So he kind of feels that connection there. So he's standing up saying, I don't want this to happen. And Sisko says, they're going to take really good care of him. He's, oh, yes, of course they're going to take good care of their prize specimen. They don't want anything bad to happen to him. And he managed to land
He wants to give him a chance at not being a killing machine.
Right.
Yeah, this part, he's like running into the force field. I'm not afraid of a force field.
Kaboof! Kaboof!
But he's got that genetic programming in him for the founders. So that's why Odo has that. He has that respect, and he will like obey him.
Plus, the kid's going through withdrawal and doesn't know it yet.
Yes.
Right.
They haven't figured that out, or they're just starting to. Yeah.
Which that's also what happens. The stuff that they're addicted to, when they get off of it, they go crazy, kill people, and then die.
Mm-hmm.
That's the next step if he doesn't get any.
Yeah, and again, this is why you ship them sealed in a little box so that they don't in a little stasis field. Like you want them in like some kind of equivalent of cryo sleep because they're just a nightmare. You don't want to manage them. If you had a regular ship, you still wouldn't want to have them waiting in the cargo hold. You'd find a way to like store them in your pattern buffer or put them all to sleep until you need them. They're annoying. They're shock troops.
Then we get the Terminator thing here, where you smile like this. He's like, Yeah. By the way, as I was getting these clips, I was watching Mrs. Doubtfire. I was like, Mrs. Doubtfire is a changeling.
So actually, speaking on Odo and his face and how weird it is, and I've never been able to pronounce the actor's last name, but Rene, whatever his last name.
I go with Auberjois.
Yeah,
Auberjois works.
He actually spoke years ago before his passing that he had done some sort of acting where you have a mask that really not only limits but almost completely removes your ability to actually emote with your face. And so he found Odo's facial prosthetics didn't actually deter his ability to do convey emotions because he had learned how to do it through speech and body language, not relying on actually his eyes or his mouth.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. He was a fantastic actor. He popped up all over the place in all sorts of sci-fi stuff. He was Mr. House in Fallout New Vegas.
He was a regular in America's favorite comedy show for like 5 or 6 years, Benson, which is a spin-off of the infamous show Soap.
Oh yeah.
So here we find their stash. This is it. It looks like futuristic birth control, ladies and gentlemen, but no, this is actually futuristic meth.
It's Dominion crack. Dominion
meth.
Yeah. It's a mixture
Dominion
of the two,
crack.
Dominion meth and crack.
Yeah, it depends on what kind of mood you're in.
Yeah,
More like heroin than.
Yeah.
Doesn't it also provide them the nutrients that they need?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
so they don't
Yes.
need to eat.
Well,
That's why he's
like we said, it's got dogs.
the kid also says. Sorry, the Jem'Hadar kid says that every time he eats, he gets sick. So that's why he's not, designed to eat food. He's designed to be attached to this stuff, which is called Ketracel White, by the way.
Yep. I called it Keith Richardsium, but yes.
So they get him hooked up to the juice. Juice me.
So I guess we should just point out, we don't see it this way again. It's a little more subtle in the future. So what we have to say is, this is the Federation technology version of it, where I guess they're trying to make it less harmful, because they're just like, oh, we've got to fill him full of filth and horror to keep him alive. Like, he's a nightmare human being. He's a nightmare species, right? He's bred to be aggressive, and they're filling him up with, like, mad dog fluids.
Well, and they only have a limited amount, too, so they don't want to give them too much and just burn through their entire supply right away before they find a substitute.
Right.
Yeah, they're trying to figure out how to make it, too.
Mm-hmm.
I think this makeup looks pretty good.
Rationing.
I agree.
Yeah, the Jem'Hadar designs have always looked really, really good.
Yeah, it's really good.
They're doing a great job on the makeup.
Yeah, I also love the different versions of the Jem'Hadar. There's like it's the Gamma Quadrant, right? So there's like the Gamma Quadrant version of, but each, they have different cloning facilities, so each one has a little bit different characteristics to it.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's ever actually explained. I don't know if it's not explained in the show, or if there was some other supplementary material that did it. But since we see as a baby they look more human, I kind of like to think that all Jem'Hadar start off as some base species that the founders were able to get their hands on, and they basically just kind of like inject this like retrovirus that kind of rewrites.
That was my understanding.
Yeah.
They basically found some other life forms and then genetically mutated and modified them until they got what they wanted, basically.
In this science fiction story. Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm just going to say right now, I got a community guideline strike on my channel about 4 months ago. When you talk about sci-fi science, it's really edgy. Like, you have to go as fast as the slowest AI.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay.
When the word genetic is in a sentence, you then have to like make sure to say in this sci-fi story that in this episode of Star Trek something, but in this episode of Star Trek is the best thing you can say, honestly. And I'm sorry that I did that and was a YouTube lawyer, but after what I've been through, I don't want to see anyone have to deal with it. So I'm sorry. I do apologize for. I guess it was for the private chat, but I was like, ooh, that statement right there.
Did you hear that, YouTube? Did you hear that?
By the
YouTube?
way,
we're talking
don't
about
worry too
science
much.
in Star Trek, not reality.
The real problem, right? That's just it's maybe like just once in a while disclaiming it, but even like an imperfect disclaimer can be a problem. We didn't have a problem speaking about it live. It was we took the conversation.
We're not talking about the thing from Unknown Origin. We're not talking about that.
On the live stream, you have a little more freedom. What happened was we re-uploaded parts of a live stream, like highlights, and it was the same thing that had gone out on YouTube. And the second time through, the AI couldn't augur it. It didn't realize that it was a science fiction conversation. So live, you have a little more freedom, but just be careful there.
Yeah, this is an interesting choice by Odo here.
Stupid.
I think later on Kira calls him out for this, not using his head, but feeling, not thinking, because this is very uncharacteristic of Odo to basically say, "Do you want to know who your people are? Here, they're incredibly violent. Now, surely your innate nature is not going to want to follow in those footsteps. You're going to choose to be nice."
Can he help himself?
Right, you're gonna
Isn't
smile.
he genetically genetically predisposed to want to help them? Can he help himself?
Hey, love it.
Interesting.
Love it. Hello.
Because you're right about Odo being out of character.
Welcome, John the Beagle Dad. Welcome.
Yep.
Hello.
Think you're
Spread
new
the
to
word to
new
all
to
the
show?
Admiral Teagians. He's one of mine. He's my buddy.
Welcome. So Odo, okay, we'll go to a fighting hologram room. Yeah, that'll help.
I mean,
This
there
isn't
is
a bad
little bit
idea.
of logic there because he's trying to get it out of his system, but the Jem'Hadar don't think or act like most other humanoid
No,
species in the galaxy.
We don't know that yet.
That just
we don't know that
right.
yet, though.
brings it out even more.
Right.
This
So there is a
only
little bit
brings
of
it out
logic
even
there.
more in him.
Right.
But it makes objective sense to us as the audience watching it, because here's the deal: we've all had, or many of us have had, a dog. Some of us have had the small dog that's really kind of aggressive. So walking that dog aggressively will keep it from eating your couch. So Odo here, and we've seen this work with Worf, who has to take his edge off because he's a Klingon who lives with humans, right? So he takes him to a place where he can have controlled aggression. And if you think this is uncomfortable, wait till you get to Voyager and we do a whole season and a half with these guys called the Herosian. Oh my God, we're going to give them a holodeck and tell them to work out their problems this way forever. And boy, does that come back to haunt us. But look who came into the room. Hello, gorgeous.
Well, hello.
Her hair looks a lot better in this episode than it does in our second and third ones.
Yeah.
This bothered me. They're having a private conversation. There's people literally walking in between them. Like, where are they at? They're like standing on a tiny stairwell or something.
Well, they're
Because it
on the
happens
balcony.
twice.
They're above Quark's bar.
Yeah, right. They're on the promenade part up in the top, but still.
Where Quark would have listening devices. I hear it. I hear your objections here. You're like, Major, walk with me. That's what you're saying here.
Yeah, I get that this is right outside the door of this holosuites where he took the Klingon or the Jem'Hadar kid, which is why they're doing a conversation here. But go get it. One of those little booth tables, or they have like little standing tables. Just
right.
having people walk, look how close they are, and somebody just decides to walk between them without even saying, "Excuse me." It's like, what
hold on.
in the world?
It doesn't bother me because this is the second floor of Quark's bar. It's a bar environment where people just don't care, and if they want to get through this tiny little space between you and someone you're talking to, they're going to do it anyway.
It just seemed really weird to me.
The background people are correct. It's our heroes, I think he's pointing out, are having a relatively important conversation in public. This is just going to get around without you having control of the story. And they're not even showing 20th century sensibility.
Yeah.
What's up, Gooch?
Hey, Gooch.
But yeah, so I mean, it's like a minor nitpick, but still, I was just
So
thought
he's
it,
like,
thought it was kind of
I
weird.
know what I'm doing. Trust me.
Yeah, my headcanon on this one is she's so indignant she doesn't care, and he's so full of righteousness that he thinks that neither of them are the least bit uncomfortable having this conversation publicly because they're both angry, and they're both absolutely unashamed of it. And you know what? They've been told the Dominion's coming. They heard the Dominions are coming, and the Dominion has caused a lot of trouble. They've killed a bunch of Federation people. The bunch of Federales taken out by the Dominion, and we've had a bunch of people from, well, not the Bajorans, but people from this quadrant are starting to have a lot of problems with Dominion-aligned people. Right. And I think Jeffrey Coombs Vorta has come through and shook everybody down in mob style already, right?
Probably.
Hasn't he cut
so
through
he's
and done
like,
the don't F with us speech?
I'm better than all these other people.
Yeah, I was proud of him when he said that. I was like, you're based.
Oh. Yeah, pretty based.
What's up?
So he just trusts that. He trusts that. Hey, go back to our quarters. It's like, and then leaves. It's like,
Everybody has decided the best thing we can do, guys, for context, is this Jem'Hadar warrior, since it respects Worf greatly, and because they think that, like, maybe it'll be okay since it's with them. Because we've had a little talk about, like, you know, it's just like in the hallway before, with the discussion that was ill-considered as far as where it took place was this. You cannot expect that Jem'Hadar warrior that's bloodthirsty, like the most bloodthirsty of fighting animals, to behave and be around, you know, people like us and us to be safe. And he's like, that's what you think. And she's like, that's exactly what you would have to say, Odo, because you're one of the things that it worships. And he's like, you know, since you brought that up, I was, genetically bred to be a cruel and suppressive, like, founder. And this thing was bred to be a cruel and evil warrior. And you were bred, by your circumstances, to be an indignant, angry, Karening terrorist. And we're all kind of acting like products of our environment right now, but you're not blowing anything up. I'm not oppressing anybody. And right now, like, my, like, Doberman child is at least on, like, a muzzle leash. So give me a break. We're going to give this a try. And she's like, fine. So yeah, she has that much. Well, it's the comparison here is, and this was topical at the time, was there are a few people killed by deeply viciously bred dogs in places like New York City where someone would be dealing crack, and like to get around the gun law, they'd have a super vindictive dog, and sometimes it get loose and just eat someone at random. I'm being serious. So I think this was the analogy. Or, like I said, there is always that one crazy person who has an alligator get to be like 5 feet long in its tub and dumps it by the city field where the Mets play. It happens every other year.
Yeah.
There's like so much alligator.
He tells them to go back to their. He tells them to go back to the apartment with a security guy, and it's like, this security guy is nothing compared to this guy. This guy's been
he's in danger.
Manufactured
it's like dangling
to
meat
fight,
in front of a dog.
So, right. So he goes and meets with Sisko, and he's like, Starfleet wants him now, so they're coming to get him.
I love the ship is coming is the Constellation. The Constellation is the ship from the Doomsday Machine, so it means they made another one. I bet you it's the C or the D. I wanted to see it.
Yeah. But I thought this was cool. I thought it was just like some piece of technology they had, but they can just do it, cloak themselves without any technology. That was cool. I thought that was cool. He's like, I'm not going anywhere except back to my people.
We piled on one too many traits. He has a salmon man aspect to him too. He's like, I'm gonna go back to see my people, because after seeing the video of what happens when the Jem'Hadar were engaged in fighting with Starfleet, the Jem'Hadar were getting the upper hand, and Starfleet were barely able to hold them off. And so he's very excited by this, and he wants to be with his people. And he says to Odo, like, I'm a Jem'Hadar, and I'm cool with that. And you're a founder, but you're not cool with it. You've been hanging out with these humans and these Bajorans, and they sort of make me sick. And they've made you, dislike yourself. Yeah, it's like, I think the Ferengis, they're into being Ferengis. But you humans and you Bajorans, you're kind of self-loathing, and you're real douchebags, Hi, FAL. And I don't have to, I don't have to stay here with you, and there's something wrong with you. And Odo, again, in a very fatherly way that I thought was great, said, I'll go with you. And he says what Leia says to Luke: go somewhere where they've never heard of the Empire and hide. Go away and never come back. You don't have to be part of it. And he's like, I'll go with you. I'll take care of you. It's like very Obi-Wan and Luke. And the thing is that this Jem'Hadar scoffs at him. He's like, you make me sick because you're nice. It's like when you're a really lousy teenager and your parents are actually nice people, and you're embarrassed because they're not cool enough because they're just nice. It's like, ew, you're nice. Real dads flick cigarettes out the car window and scream F you at people.
Yeah, I wonder what the Dominion did to this kid. Did they
I think
interrogate him and then get rid of him?
Yeah, right? How well would he fare? I would imagine that he enjoyed having a massive amount of pain applied to him. So what they did was, there's probably a way to jack his thoughts because he's so genetically programmed. When he shows up back there, if they can be sure he's not been tracked, they would trust him if they saw his DNA hadn't been altered. But this does have a little bit of the episode with Hugh from TNG in it, where they find that lone Borg.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I like that we went to yet another part of Deep Space Nine, to a different restaurant, even if it has the same staircase behind it, and that Kira and Odo, who kind of have a weird attraction, or at least bond, because maybe it's a bond because they were both very badly treated by the Cardassians, and they sort of have a conversation here that's deeply Star Trek and about how like we're gonna meet new and different people and like some of the newest and most different people we're gonna meet are like our own selves and like we're gonna be revealed as what we truly are if this war happens.
Yep. So that was episode 6.
The poor
Any,
baby
closing
that turned
thoughts on that
into a
episode?
killing machine. Ah,
Baby.
baby.
Any
does
closing thoughts on that episode?
He does a good thing where he takes it back to his people. You know, he doesn't let Starfleet get their hands on him. And
Right,
Yeah,
but I'm gonna be devil's advocate for like 2 seconds. So right now they know nothing about the Dominion, absolutely nothing, and this was the best shot that the Federation had that they are aware of to learn about the main fighting force for the Dominion. They know they have no chance. Like they are going to be wiped out, and this was their best opportunity to figure out, like, at least, is there a weakness? How are these things made? What is the biology of these things? And
well, they figured out about the Ketracel White, but
Yeah,
They have samples of Ketracel White. They have all the body scans. They have blood, fiber, DNA, all that stuff from them.
but they don't know the culture.
Right, but neither does he.
yeah, they don't have one.
He's just
we found
like a
out their
baby.
culture is that you just add water and set loose
Yeah.
with gun.
Right.
It
I get what you're
self-teaches
saying. They
itself to
should
like
have
a
kept
fourth
him.
grade education.
They should have kept him, but by letting him go, Oda didn't completely bone the Federation. They still have some stuff they can figure out.
Yeah.
I mean,
I would argue that
And they
what they
know
did
that-
was so well established as being the Federation's principles. We consistently see them being more naive than modern humans. We consistently see them making decisions that are not in their own best interests. In Space Seed, Khan is like, I was something of an engineer in my time. Show me the schematics of how to blow up your ship. And he's like, this would be how to do an overload. Here, look at our schematics. It's crazy how trusting they are. So the thing we always discount is, I think, built into the meta of Star Trek is these are Roddenberry humans, and they're a little more evolved than us, and that's why the tech stuff doesn't bother them, and that's why Captain Kirk can memorize Morse code and speak 4 different languages and have no problem with like advanced computers and other stuff. They're just 1/2 step further along, a shuffle step sideways, more evolved than us. They're a little more intelligent. Their reasoning capacities are higher. But they also don't understand, and we see it in Star Trek 4. They can't understand duplicity. They do not understand profanity. They do not really, truly understand privation and anger. And that is something that haunts them
Or
in Star
war.
Trek 4. Well, they understand war a little bit, right, from A Taste of Armageddon. But yeah, they can't understand the pointlessness of it. It's doubly frustrating to them than it is to a normal human. And look at Bones, more human than
before
human.
before the appearance of the Borg, all of Starfleet ships were exploratory ships, science ships, and not
Yes.
conquering ships or anything. So
Right, we're not
when
warships.
the Borg show up,
Science
they're like,
is
"Oh,
war.
we're in trouble here."
A good
So
analogy
they
for the
begin ramping up.
Captain Kirk would refuse command
Battle.
of that Enterprise with families on it. He'd say, absolutely not.
Shit.
Right.
and a good analogy would be like you took somebody from like a super safe country like Sweden, let's say, and you dropped them into like Baltimore. First parts of Baltimore are like Philly, and be like, okay, have a good one later. And then they walk up, excuse me, sir, do you have the time? And it's like bang bang.
Oh my God, I'm from New York. I've been to Philly. Yeah, that would be exceptionally cruel.
Right.
I'd rather go to Rurapente.
But you
Right.
know what I mean? Like they have no idea. They think everybody's friendly and there's no danger and that kind of stuff. And and you got like, you just drop them in the worst part of town, and see if they could make their way out of there.
How sad
Making
is
my
it the
way
worst part of,
downtown. Shots in the background.
How sad is it the worst part of that town is where our great country was born, and it just steps away from Independence Hall. There are crackheads It saddens me as an American. Sorry, guys, didn't mean to drag us off topic, but I've been to Philly a few times. I live an hour away.
Kira would make it though, because she's been, in the fight.
She's from Philly.
Yeah, exactly. She'd be okay. She'd beat their ass.
Kira killed Tupac.
The Cardassians would do fine. You drop one of them in there, they'd
Yeah.
be running the place in no time flat. But
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think the Cardassians would they'd be running the place because they'd be like, these contemptible people are all addicted to substances and having drunken bum fights in the street. Face them all.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
It's like one big outdoor brawl in Philly.
Oops.
Love It Ever After apparently lives near enough to Philadelphia to know I'm right. Just LOLing our statement.
Yeah. But
Hey, love it.
you're right. But
What are we doing in episode 20? Eating.
I have notes. I have so much notes on this episode. I loved it.
Shoveling that food in.
Well, Garak is an awesome character. I like him.
Yes, yeah. He's one of my favorites.
Usually good ones.
Yep. He has a really good line in this about telling lies, and he's like, "Well, you just keep telling lies," and it's the same. Oh, he tells the story about the boy who cried wolf, and he's like, "The moral of the story is don't tell lies." He's like, "No, the moral of the story is never tell the same lie twice."
Yeah, exactly. He took the different meaning from that.
Well,
which I like about the writing. It's so the thinking that the different alien species have is so good. Like how the Ferengi view of the world, or the Cardassians, or somebody from the Obsidian Order, or whatever. I think it's interesting.
What I like in this episode is that we set up a Shakespeare line and we say the first half of it, and when we end this story later, we're going to answer that same line.
Right. I think it's this episode, but Garak only does these little lunches with him to practice his lies.
Yep.
Yeah, he has to keep sharp
Yeah.
in his exile.
Yeah, but these two always have a lot of good back and forth. Garak and Bashir.
Yeah, they do. They do.
Yeah, they're like my favorite banter.
Well, the best back and forth is between future Mr. and Mrs. Siddig Al-Fidel here.
Yeah.
And people say Bewitched had great recasting, but Alexander Fidel looks almost exactly like Siddig Al-Fidel. Now, actually, if you watch the show closely, you can tell it's a different actor, but, Alexander Fidel does a good job of picking up where Siddig Al-Fidel left off.
So, Garak's shop blows up, and there's our title.
It looks like your pants won't be ready, Dr. Bashir.
Yeah.
I liked Bashir is still our eager frontier medicine, very, very pure of heart, wonderfully ambitious Starfleet officer, and we haven't seen this very much in the Doctor. The Doctor's been someone who explores himself in, like, the show Voyager, or in the case of Bones, the cynic who speaks for the audience. This Doctor is a wild-eyed optimist, and I love it. And hello, Melvin Deeply! Hello.
Melvin.
Maybe they're...
Hey, Melvin.
Who you think... Who might be related?
The two doctors, Siddig and Alexander.
Oh, you know what? I think that's unlikely. That's about as unlikely as Will Jordan and the Critical Drinker knowing each other, because I'm pretty sure they don't. You'll never see them together.
That's true.
Yep.
I like how they're doing like the little CSI here of, well, we think it was a micro explosive behind the power conduit. It would, blew the whole shop up.
We beat up a couple of aliens and show bruised up ridges and jelly heads, which is something we haven't seen before, and I liked it. It's like, here's our gritty Star Trek CSI.
Yeah. That's what sound the feeling thing is.
Yeah. You didn't have the sound clip ready. You just winged it.
Just winged it. Yeah.
Now that Melvin's here, I really feel the pressure to deliver a top flight Star Trek review. Not that I didn't come here to play.
They're looking at him like, yeah, what? Somebody tried to kill you.
I'm
It's
just
like,
a simple tailor. What?
Well, the thing that we really aren't we supposed to start worrying that these guys have assets in the Alpha Quadrant already? That's the message of this. Well, we find a little more later, but what's in the air right now, I think, is what's going on in the Alpha Quadrant that they already are able to extend their power. Because the last we heard was, "Hey, we're coming."
Mm-hmm.
So this is where we get the story of the boy who cried wolf. It's like, yeah, he should have lied about something else. There's a dinosaur coming after the sheep.
Yeah, right, really. So you stole him. Now he's going through the list of recent arrivals to see if he recognizes anybody. He feigns ignorance.
I don't know anybody here.
I don't know these people. So his costume, I found out, that's actually not fabric. It's actually upholstery stuff. They made a lot of their
it looks like it.
costumes and Ferengis, and the way it has that look, and it's actually upholstery. It's hot.
Yeah.
As all get out.
I really like the exchange between these two, where he's like, "There's so many names here, but I don't recognize any of them." Well, maybe they could have arrived a few days earlier, so we're gonna have to go through those. You don't have to stick around. What? So you can
yes, I do.
have access to my records. What makes you think I don't already have access to your record?
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah.
Well, we find out
this could take all day. Well, being you don't have a shop anymore.
I was kidding.
Odo should know he has access to his records.
Yes,
because
Melvin.
I like what Garak says after that. I was just kidding, which is probably, no, I've looked at all your records.
I know everything about you.
In episode 7, there was they triggered some old Cardassian security protocols, and we found out that Garak has like 2 levels higher security clearance on the station than Odo does with his fake credentials, he saves the day. So how Odo is surprised by this after the episode that I watched after the other one was, I was just like, wait a minute, Odo, because I watched a few episodes on either end of this to get my head oriented into the story.
Yeah. You think you know by now that Garak's way more than it appears.
Yeah, and there's a lot more than you think he does.
Yeah.
So they figure out there's somebody on board who's connected to killings. And it's this guy, a perfume seller. I'm just a simple perfume seller.
I like he does the smell. It's like, incredible. Yes, that one. I like his little display case. It's pretty nice. Nice little prop.
Yeah.
This is a great little bit. This is almost, Odo is such a great amalgamation of this different like detective tropes and detective TV characters and movie characters. And this is kind of like one of these things that almost, it's not fully Columbo, but it's kind of like that where he's like feigning not knowing things. And just like throwing questions in there, and he's like, "I don't have a sense of smell. So could you describe this one? Can you describe
yeah, this is totally a Columbo setup. Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then he starts combining these 3 that he's picked, and he's about to combine the last one, and the guy's like, she may not like that smell. It's like, oh, I think she likes this spicy smell. And he's like, no, I don't think she would like that. And then Odo's like,
back to it. Blow up and kill us both.
So, yeah. Give you an instant heart attack.
Bon appetit, Adam Gray.
Yeah, later, Adam. So they put a tracker on his ship as they're questioning him. O'Brien puts a tracker on his ship.
Doesn't he kind of look like that alien sort of look like that one woman in like the neighborhood who always had the curlers in her hair?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, and like especially with this house coat kind of like costume, he's just like, well, that's it, I'm leaving, and it's just like, well, we'll take your damn curlers out at least if you're splitting. Posse 2 Los Locos, not a great film, but who's in top form. You're saying that there's a sequel to Posse, The Legends of Jesse's Gold? Question is, what gold, Jesse?
I've never heard of that movie.
Oh my God! Well, it was originally called Posse, but there was another movie with the same name, so it's been renamed Posse: The Legend of Jesse's Gold, and it stars Mario Van Peebles, and it's a Black Magnificent Seven, the Blacknificent Seven, if you would.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, I vaguely remember that now.
Okay. So Odo goes to a runabout, and oh, Garak's there. What are you doing here? It's like, I'm gonna go with you. He's like, we better hurry. The guy's getting away.
I love this. I love their dynamic. I really do.
Yes.
Almost as good as him and Quark,
like-
but
Fine. Yeah.
Well, I think by this point, Odo probably is already suspecting what we find out later on towards the end of further on in the episode. So that's probably one of the reasons he didn't put up a fight and try to kick Garak out.
Yeah. Right. So here's the guy's ship, and it's just, oh, what happened? It blew up.
kaboom!
What a coinky dink.
Well,
Yeah, really.
and he's like, well, this expedition got cut short.
Well, look at that.
But I love their set, and I love their environment, and I love this one too.
Yeah, yeah. So somebody blew him up. They found more explosive or traces of explosive.
Traces of Romulan explosives. Which
Romulan.
it was. I had to rewind this and watch it again because Terry Farrell's looking quite beautiful here. I was just like, what did you say, beautiful? Oh.
Wait, look, they changed
Rachel
in
Pierce,
between episode 6 and 20. The undershirt is now gray.
They've gone with Heather Gray. Thank God. Thank God. Yeah, and you know what? It's less of a mock neck, and it's starting to look like something you'd walk down the street in rather than something left over from the late 80s. Those T-shirts were just like, well, we have a bunch of crowd extra T-shirts with long sleeves from the movie Do the Right Thing.
Oh, we ordered the wrong
That's
color.
the kind of stuff. It was like left over from a movie from like, it's like that movie's only 5 or 6 years old. It's like, 89 was a totally different fashion world again. They look much better. His is still a little more purplish, but hey, he's the captain, so his Heather Gray has like a little more of a royal purple hue. We also find out he's obsessed with like King Louis the 18th, so purple's fine on Sisko. He's a lunatic anyway.
Yeah. I like
I
this
love
part.
him, but it's a little nuts.
They start blaming, what's going on here, Garak? And Odo is like, Garak doesn't know anything. If he did, he would be stringing this long, elaborate string of lies together. And he's just quiet.
Yeah, and he catches him. He gigs him based on that. And by the way, they did a great job in his costume here. He's dressed like a tailor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That is a great sci-fi outfit. And by the way, you put that on the guy from Judas Priest, he could still front that band effectively in this year.
Yes.
In the year that this movie came out.
Totally.
So they talk to this lady, and she's like, oh, we executed him. We were in our rights to execute him. Just execute the guy in someone else's space.
Yeah, we did it.
Right?
But they also just happened to do it right after he was a suspect and all this other stuff. It's very convenient.
Right.
And apparently also Ronald D. Moore hated, I was looking at some of the trivia, the old Romulan uniform so much. he basically forced a redesign.
And they made the worst
Which,
Romulan outfits.
Yeah.
What are you talking about with the puffed
I
sleeves?
thought those
Yeah.
the episode what is it? The original series, the what is it? Where you first see the Romulans.
Yeah,
do you
they
know-
play cat and mouse with each other.
I can't remember the name of that episode. But yeah, I thought the uniforms were kind of cool looking in that episode. The Romulan uniforms.
Yeah, and they made these weird, like, spike leather thing.
Yeah,
and
right. So Odo needs a runabout. He doesn't say why. He just needs a runabout.
Well, he
So
does say
and
that he
he's
still has some
going
contact,
to
and
yeah. So he's got an informant. He's going to meet.
Which is
Which
really
I liked
quick.
this interaction
ahead.
here. I thought it was a good interaction where you don't even
Just
see the
real-
guy's face because he's got. I have a new face. This
Well-
is the last time we met.
this is
First of all,
this has got remnants of or kind of the same vibes of season 1 Mulder meeting his
thank you.
informant.
Mm-hmm.
Took the words
also,
right out of
if
my
you-
mouth.
I do want to throw this out really quick. The guy who plays this informant, Joseph Ruskin, was Galt in the TOS episode The Gamesters of Triskelion, Tumek in the DS9 episodes House of Quark and Looking for Parmok in All the Wrong Places, a Sonat officer in the Insurrection movie, a Vulcan master in the Voyager episode Gravity, a Suliban a doctor in the Enterprise pilot Broken Bow, and he also voiced characters in 2 Star Trek video games. Like other than like Majel Barrett, he's been in more series, but he's actually been physically in more series than her because she just lends her voice as the computer.
That's
Cool.
cool.
That,
Yeah,
I
it's
mean, he's
crazy how
got no
just
face here, but he gets
some
around.
random character, that doesn't even show his face. It's like in every other
Yeah.
Star Trek series.
He had a great agent, and you know what? We have the leftover set from Unification. I'm sorry, for Chain of Command.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a little bit of disbelief, like suspension of disbelief you have to have here that Odo wouldn't look up that direction. So I think Odo knows exactly where he is. He's just playing the I'm looking around thing. Like, this is a game here. They have to play their part. They
Right.
understand each other.
Uh-huh. And Odo, as a changeling, could easily get to him
Mhm.
instantly, but that would run
Turn
his
into a bird.
contact.
Yeah.
Yep, he needs the guy. So he'll play the game.
So this guy's like, there's some weird things going on, and there's Romulans crossing the border into Cardassian space, and just some strange goings on.
Yeah.
Well, a moment happened.
And he throws
I'll just say
Odo
really- Sorry, go
Yeah,
ahead.
go ahead.
Jacob, finish. I was going to say, our moment happened. What happened was
No, you,
we found out from Odo's. I'm sorry, from Garak's buddy, that the Romulans and the Cardassians are working together, and we found out that the Tal Shiar and the Obsidian Order are kind of like, they're sort of natural allies. So we're gonna hang out together for a while in these 2 stories. Sorry, Jacob.
yeah, that's okay. That's all right. Just for reference for Mando, the Tal Shiar are a secret government organization with the Romulans, and the Obsidian Order is a secret organization with the help me?
They're like a mix between the CIA and the secret police.
Ah,
Like,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're
very-
Section 31, but for the
each
bad
race,
guys.
right.
They're the bad guys version of that.
The
Exactly.
KGB and
Yeah, KGB and right. So, but they deal in like spying, assassination. They're very powerful within their own governments.
hey, Jenna.
And
They routinely coup out their own governments if they don't get what they want. And,
right, exactly. Yep.
I guess, just to be clear,
Yep.
the Tal Shiar are the Romulans, and the Obsidian Order are the Cardassians.
Mhm.
That's their extra paramilitary dirty tricks club.
Right. So this guy tosses Odo a data pad.
A data pad.
Data-
A data pad. Yeah.
PADD.
And it's
I
lists
forget what
of
it stands
names
for.
of Cardassian people that were connected with the Obsidian Order that have died in the last day or two. So in the
Yeah,
same
they're-
time frame
they're,
as Garak getting
Someone's cleaning
trying
up
to kill him.
house.
So it's like this guy's like, so that should clear up our
Debt.
debt. And but if you ever find out what's going on, feel free to come back here and I'll be in debt to you again.
Yeah.
It's like, I would also like to find out who these people are.
So Odo's like confronts him. And
And
Garak's like, all
"Oh,
these people are dead?
What? I never heard of these people, but
Man, when Odo gets mad,
yeah, he's got the justice of
yeah.
thing going.
I think that's one of the only
So he
times we see
says that-
Garak actually looking caught off guard.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And Odo's like, you blew yourself up. It's like, what? And he's like, you're going to tell me what's going on here. And he says to him, all those people that have been killed, we worked under, what's his name? Tang?
Inoperant
Tang.
Not the drink.
Yeah.
Not the drink, Tang. So they all worked under the same guy. And they're just mysteriously getting killed.
It's much closer to taint than it is tang. It's tane.
Yeah,
It's
taint.
Inoperant tane. And there's some implications about his existence and his relationship to our pal Odo. He might just be Odo's father.
Odo's or Garak?
Not Odo.
I'm sorry, I misspoke. Or he might just be Garak's father. Yeah, Odo has no father. He's just another piece of the Great Link that sort of like flopped out there and became its own little lungfish.
So I can't remember if this is where we have the back and forth, but basically the long and short of it was Garak blew up his own shop so that Odo would start an investigation because he knew more than he's let on that people were getting killed and he knew somebody was going to come after him. So he just basically said, I'm going to set this up so that I don't have to wait till I'm dead for somebody to start looking.
Yeah, he's driving
So
this whole thing.
He scrambles a transmission back to somebody he knows on Cardassia. And it's the housekeeper of his mentor. She's like, he's not
Now
here.
And this might well be his mom.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, with Garak, you
That's
never
the
really
implication. So there's Papa Garak.
Yeah. So she's like, you find him. You help him. And he's like, okay.
Yeah, because he's gone
all
missing.
right. Yeah.
Do it now.
So here they go on the runabout again. This whole interaction here was great. Odo first, looks at Garak and tells him all these things about him that are probably close to the truth, and it cuts him to the quick. And he's like about to leave, and then he does the same thing back to Odo. He's like, you just enjoy watching us, interact with each other. You don't have any real connections, do you? And he's like, if I did, I wouldn't tell you.
And it's his third great outfit of this episode already.
Yeah. And he's like,
Yeah, Garak's
"Well,
quite the
that's
clothes
a
horse,
very
isn't
good
he?"
choice." Yes, he is. He's a dandy.
He has to be, right? I mean, he's a tailor. He can't exactly walk around like
Yeah.
dressed like John Fetterman all day.
Yeah, show off his wares.
Khajiit has
Yeah.
wares if you have coin.
So they're flying along, and they're flying
This one
along,
offers
and there's
you
like
the best
got
quality.
some strange readings here, like a cloaked ship. Oh, and look at that! It is a cloaked ship.
Nobody
Ships.
expects the Spanish Inquisition. I mean, the Tal Shiar.
Right, really?
Uh-oh, we're in a tractor beam. Can't break away.
I wonder what they want. Oh, I think we're gonna have a chance to ask them.
Is this where we get some Romulan noodles?
That's good.
Okay, I was a little slow. Okay, yes, I like that.
Take some Romulan noodles and some Klingon chicken wings to go, please.
Space Uber delivery.
So they walk in, and who do they find? Oh, it's Papa Garak.
Tane.
Yes.
There's some Tane on this ship.
Very, very well done character by let's see, Paul Dooley.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
The retired spy master who may not be so retired.
By the way, he's also the retired actor who may not be so retired. He was born in 1927, and he's working.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good.
I mean,
I don't know if that's good or if that's like a living nightmare. He's 98. Does he really want to go to work anymore? Excuse me.
anytime Garak's on screen and talking with somebody, it's always good back and forth. But especially between him and Tane, they've kind of they know the other one's playing a game. They know no one in the room is really telling the truth, and they're still trying to sell it.
Yeah, the little back and forth of lying and.
So, I hear you're a tailor, and he's like, "Yeah, and your trim figure isn't so trim anymore."
And he also makes a comment about working with the pointy ears. He's like, how he uses that as that insult in front of them. So either I have to defend them and confirm my allegiance to them, or I let it lie. And now he's sown a seed of discontent. It's such good.
Yeah, it's so good. Yeah, it is.
I miss you, Garak. I miss the old days.
He's like, I've been wanting to meet you, Odo. And I was like, I'm sure. Oh yeah, so something that was back when Odo was talking to that guy in the cave. The guy's like, "Do you still do that
neck dance?
That neck trick?" The neck trick.
Yeah, the Cardassian neck trick.
Yeah, the Cardassian
Like the
neck trick.
Cardassian neck
Yeah.
trick. Yeah, this is good. Odo gives some quibs back too. And it's like, oh, that's impressive. He's almost as good as you, Garak. Yeah, I love when he says, I came looking for you. I blew my own shop up so I could come looking for you. And he's like, you blew your own shop up? Oh, that's so good.
Which is weird because, like, that was one of the things that Odo said was the leading possibilities. Like, well, it could have been this, but I think he did it himself.
Yeah.
Well, I think Tane kind of laughed at it because I think, would have done everything much more subtly, as opposed to falling
You know,
back at
dramatic
something
and-
as crude as an explosion.
Yeah.
Well, because we get that tale of subtlety where someone had some information that they wanted, and rather than employ any physical force, Garak stared at him for 4 or 5 hours, and the guy simply like freaked out and signed whatever they wanted him to.
Yeah.
And he's just like, I didn't think you would ever do anything so brutal as resort to force, which, in light of what we're going to see, is kind of a BS line.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think Garak
And
on
the-
blowing his own shop up was more of a like a last minute act of like I have to do this real quick before.
Plus, I think he hated that shop and just wanted to blow it up too. Just
Right.
Yeah.
blow up the old life.
It was he had State Farm. It was insured.
Yeah, right.
So he tells Garak that, yeah, you can go, but the changeling has to stay. He's like, why? He's like,
You can still recognize the actor.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like we all kind of recognize him. And by the way, I think it was they blamed the shop explosion on VLM and never like came clean about it. Vulcan Lives Matter blew it up.
yeah, right.
The needs of the many dictated that they do it.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Or
So he
or
says,
Romulan
Garak, no.
lives
matter. I said it hard R, Romulan lives.
He just says to Garak, now you can leave or you can join me. He's like,
Then he's
"Oh,
like,
okay.
but after what I did, said I can never forgive you, but what I can do is choose to forget it
Yes.
and work around it.
Yes.
I'll never forgive, but I can choose to work around it.
Right.
And that's what Garak has always
And the
wanted. He wants
cliffhanger.
back.
Yeah.
You know, I
You already
That's
talked about they're
really
going to go
good.
and wipe out the founders. They're going to hit their home planet.
Right.
But what's cool is we get to hear
And it was
Majel
like,
Barrett
oh, cool.
say, and now the conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
Which
Yeah,
apparently
right.
this episode was not supposed to be a two-parter, and so they didn't actually have. They were filming the next episode already, and so the second part of this aired out of order originally. And it's
That's
actually one of the only-
weird.
Huh,
It's one
interesting.
of the only Star Trek two-parter
That is.
episodes that doesn't have the same title as Part 1 and Part 2. It has two totally separate titles.
Improbable
started doing
Cause
that
is
too.
1, and the Die is Cast is 2. But in on Paramount Plus, it's in order of
Yes.
the stories.
Yeah, they ended up reordering it to make it proper, but when it originally aired, because they had obligations and schedules to keep, they had to air technically the episode after the second part first, and then they aired the second part.
It would be great if that episode started with, well,
Interesting.
it was a good thing we found out about this new stage of open warfare with the Cardassian and Romulan fleets, making a bid for power in the Alpha Quadrant. And like that force we reckon with. Whew, good thing we know that.
Wow, such a dynamical change. What we
Yeah.
nobody saw that coming.
Yeah. I'll be right back.
We'll
So
be
this
right
really
here.
sets up what's going to be coming in the next few seasons. of
Yeah, they do
what's
a
gonna
good
happen.
job. I honestly think that part of the good setup is lack of money. Like we're husbanding our resources and getting ready for what's going to be a bigger battle. We do see some on-screen fighting here, but for the most part, we do rely on. We see a tactical display, we see a ship disappear, and they're like, "Oh no!" And we rely on our cast to get that done. And now that they know what to do with the character, we're not having the problem with a flat, unreactive Dax.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
And
very good
also-
point. Oh, good.
No, go ahead.
They how they do that battle, because you see, yeah, there's a battle, there's lots of ships, but you don't see a lot of it. You see a little bit of it, and then you see some of the aftermath. But yeah, a lot of it's on the bridge and tactical display, and the camera shaking, and then them talking about we're being hit from this side and that side. They do a really good job And then,
But I was more satisfied than a TNG version of the same thing. They seemed to understand that they needed some action, and maybe that's why we suffered through some of these episodes where, like, in that first episode, we didn't even really talk about the fact that Jake's having a relationship with a fucking. Sorry, Jacob. Where he's having a relationship with a Dabo girl who's like a 20-year-old played by a 30-year-old, and we've got a 15-year-old played by a 19-year-old, and the whole thing is just weird because 3 episodes earlier he's playing childlike games with his friends and talking about like how girls are gross, and now all of a sudden we find out he's the Cyrano de Bergerac of Deep Space Nine. Miles O'Brien is like, if you Google pictures of me wife in a bikini, you'll understand why I go through what I go through. But Jake's got the best of both worlds. Don't mess it up for him, Benjamin Yars. Sisko's like, I don't like it. And he's like, I'd be proud of me, son. If I'm father to a daughter, it's going to be painful for me, Sisko, but you can have some fun with this. Just put a camera in his room and shut up, Benjamin.
He all of a sudden, he's just like risen up all the chicks. It's like, what's going on? You know, it's weird.
I think we double back, and he's like a child again who wants to play childlike games and has to deal with the fact that his toys have outgrown him. In a later episode, though, like, it's not fluid. They're like, we've got a whole bunch of episodes where he transitions, for lack of a better word, from a child to an adult.
Is he even?
They didn't do them in order.
Yeah. No, it was weird. Weird. That's why I kept it out of the.
I like his relationship with his dad. It is very loving.
But if you saw the Devo girl, you would understand.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, her tracts of land. But yeah, I mean, I would. You would also be like, my dad was kind of like, when I had that first really good looking girlfriend, was just like, way to go, son. So I understood that part of Sisko, but we really saw the full range of his parenting. He went from like, I love babies, to like, my kid's going to like father, like have a, like, be the David Koresh of Deep Space Nine with a whole love tribe. He's got it going on. My boy, he's only 16.
Another thing too, that
Chip
that
off
girl,
the old block.
She grew up without parents, and it's like she's way more. Even if she was the same age as Jake, she would be way more grown up than him.
She's done things for a standard nutrition bar that shouldn't be spoken about in mixed company. All right, the only Major Kira was able to punch people around in those camps enough to get like enough food to get by. Everyone else had a miserable life. Think Tasha Yar again.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, they always have like the main plot.
Want to talk about
the B or C plot.
Yeah.
Are we going to hit Dias Cast, or we're stopping with Improbable Cause?
Yeah, we'll stop with that one. We'll do that one next.
No problem.
Month.
I have to bail off a little bit here in a bit.
Yeah.
I would say the X-Files kind of came into this a little bit. Someone mentioned it earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it started around the same time.
Yeah, they did. They were running around the same time. There's a lot of that kind of, meat in your deep throat and informant, and
there's a lot more intrigue in this one than the other series.
I don't know how much insight.
Aired about 2 years after the start of X-Files.
X-Files is red hot now. X-Files is getting ready to have a movie now. It's really on fire. That's why I feel like Star Trek is kind of drafting in the wake of the X-Files. Although I've always felt that those shows had some things in common.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the X-Files. But we do see here with Garak, we're going to find out more and more later, he's a lot like Agent Spinder, and it's weird because neither franchise could have known where those storylines were going, but these two characters, Spinder is the son of the cigarette-smoking man, and Garak is most likely the son of Tane, who's the cigarette-smoking man of Deep Space Nine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now they always accuse Deep Space Nine of stealing from Babylon 5, so
Yeah, because that show was running a little bit before this one started, I think.
It's a 5-week difference. We checked this
Yeah.
one out. One starts in October, one starts in December, but we're talking Halloween and December 1st. There's no, it's a difference without a distinction. There was no intention here, and I do believe that we have to let both series off the hook because it's become an unproductive conversation. Not that it's not worthy in a sci-fi sense. We should all talk about all the sci-fi we can all the time, but it's like, to put these two series against each other and to say anything that we're lucky to have both of them is now serving the causes of the people who want us to forget about this great storytelling. I have an opinion that just Star Trek put out the idea that we want to have a continuous bottle show that overcomes the bottle show problems, but doesn't have the expense of all the time going to planets. It'll be the reverse of regular Star Trek, where we'll go to planets sometimes, but most of the time we'll be on our station. And we'll make a really great set. And they managed to mostly do that in Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, and actually, I think setting it on not a station that's not Federation built, nothing Starfleet.
Only just so Federation.
Yeah, it allowed them to have that darker atmosphere that would set it apart, not just tonally, but visually from every other Star Trek series that had come before it. Because I think they knew from the beginning that they were probably going to go a little bit darker. Maybe because even the Dominion itself is touched on really early in like the first season.
Yeah, because they moved they actually moved the DS9 to the wormhole mouth.
Right.
It was around Wajor.
Yeah, it used to orbit the planet so that they could control the planet from up there.
Well,
right. It used to be.
It was going to be a darker storyline just because of the relationship of Cardassians and Bajorans. So I do think that was a really good idea to put it on a station that didn't have that bright, clean, perfect kind of Federation Starfleet look.
It's still a little too clean, but it's got the mix of technologies, and when we see every single interface, it doesn't look like our other Starfleet stuff. And that sequence where they move it to the mouth of the wormhole at the beginning, the beginning of the second part of the opening movie or the middle of their movie, Deep Space Nine is moved, or Terok Noir is moved and becomes Deep Space Nine by virtue of taking up that residence. But it needs a capital ship, and it's a little ridiculous how we kind of tiptoe around the fact that it's. I mean, we find out later it really can defend itself, but they're holding off on putting a lot of money into it. But once they move that station, there's a conversation that once we've experienced all this modern writing and stuff that we can really understand and appreciate. And Beard, maybe like we've done a couple of reviews before together.
Right.
Like we have a situation where Kira confronts O'Brien, who's left behind to deal with things while Sisko is in the wormhole talking to his son and other aliens. At this point, there's an argument where she's going to start to make certain demands, and it looks like it's about to go girl boss because that's what we're conditioned for. You know what I'm saying? And O'Brien then steps up and takes control back of the conversation and goes, "Now listen here, I'm Starfleet, and I'm going to say what happens to this station. However, I concur with your plan, and I think that what we should do is get on the same team. Why don't you talk to your people about battening down the hatches on this dump, and I'll see about getting all the energy I can out of it. And when the captain gets back, he'll make a decision on who's right or wrong. But as the Federation guy, I sign off on this because I believe the Bajoran government is like attack or do nothing, something unproductive. And so Kira is like, no, we're not listening to them, and we're going to do this. And he's like, it's almost like, oh, you go, girl. And in a modern TV show, he would have been like, no way, Starfleet wouldn't allow that. And she would have either beat him up or she would have hectored him into submission, and everyone else would have just done it despite him being in the way. And then he would have jumped out an airlock to make up for it. And we missed that where she's having her moment of
Brian.
Well, you know what? She walks up to him passionate. And there's something that modern writers won't do. The woman can initiate the passionate exchange. She's passionate towards him, and she's a little animated. And I believe she yells at O'Brien, and he takes it for a moment or two because he's a military professional, and she's like a reformed freedom fighter. And he's like, kind of starting to scoff at her a little. His acting is fantastic, and he's right on point. And he's just like, "Now, see here, what you're telling me to do isn't, within your authorization to talk to me like that. However, I happen to concur with your idea. So, as the Starfleet rep, I'm going to do this with you. But we're going to do this my way. So go tell these people to get this place together, or it's not on me what happens, and I'll do what I have to do for you."
It fit both their actions really do fit their characters. I mean, it fits what we've come to know from O'Brien, from what we have seen from him on Next Generation, and it perfectly fits with what we learn about Kira as the show goes forward. And I just want to go ahead and throw this out there. I do think that it was a fantastic just happenstance that they could not get the actress that played Ro Laren to come back for this series, because if I remember correctly, Kira was supposed to be Ro Laren, and that was going to be a source of a lot of contention.
And Michelle Forbes got a movie and a TV deal for, is it CSI? And it was much more money. And she just laughed. She was like, "I love you guys, but see you later."
Yeah, as much as I like Ro as a character for the short time she was on Next Generation, I don't think she would have fit this show very well.
I love Kira more.
Yes, absolutely.
No. Yeah, I think what's her name? Nana did a much better.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
She made that character and it took the character on and then made it her own and did a really good job with it. And then the episode where they go to the alternate dimension where they're evil Federation or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're wearing all like the halter tops and stuff.
I never liked the mirror dimension. So cheesy.
Well, that she was what made the mirror dimension good fun. Evil Kira. Yeah.
Their
hey guys, I gotta take off now.
Oh, Blair. Go ahead. All right. Anything to promote?
Yeah. When you guys are done here, join us over at Diabolical Souls Presents. We're going to be doing Primal, the season 2, next to the last end of it. So this is a good one tonight. It's a really good show. And then Thursday, I'll be on again with, we'll do Kaiju number 8. We're in the middle of reviewing that at Diabolical Souls. So yeah, come over and stop by later, guys. It was great talking to everybody. I love DS9 and I love talking Star Trek with people too. Night all. Take care.
Yeah, glad you could be on, man. Later. Yeah, Beard, if you could... Oh, can you do that, Beard? Can you put the link to Diabolical's channel?
Yeah, I should be able to do that.
Or Gucci's channel. Okay, let me know if you can. I can do it if you can't.
I'm working on it.
But yeah,
I'm not on my double monitor setup.
Do you like the Spinder connection with Garak? Do you buy into that one, Jacob? You see where I'm going?
I'd have to... I recognize the name, but I can't place the face.
Jeffrey Spinder is, they think for a while he might be Fox Mulder's half-brother. He's an X-Files agent who shows up around season 4. He's an FBI guy. And when you get to the episode where Mulder's father and the cigarette-smoking man pull off the JFK assassination, he plays the young cigarette-smoking man. That actor comes back, and he's Agent Spinder. So it's always obvious that he's the cigarette-smoking man's son.
Yeah, okay.
And of course, since Fox Mulder's father is played by David Duchovny, it's pretty obvious that that's going to be his real father.
Yeah, right.
But Fox Mulder doesn't know that for a while, which we just know stuff he doesn't.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. It's been so long since I've seen those episodes.
Well, you're rewatching them, and I'm truly jealous. You're doing a real worthy thing by rewatching one of the greatest TV shows of all time. And
thank you.
It's got to be a tough slog in these times where people are from a little bit weird. I just got like a weird message that in these days of internet spam is like hard to believe. Yeah, it's just a fake thing. Sorry, I got distracted there with the message saying that like one of my other social media accounts was going to be removed forever because I did something hateful, and I know that I'm only openly like that here. Yeah, it wasn't from YouTube, and I was just like, so I can't be true. I mean, I pretend to be a nice person everywhere else. This is the real me.
It took me a little while, but I got the link to Skywalker
Yeah,
Souls
thanks,
over
Beard.
there in the chat. Everybody wants
Oh,
to go
So
check that
yeah,
out.
after
Friend of
we're
the channel.
chat after we're done here.
Yeah.
Get over there.
But not a minute first. But not before.
We're not first. Wait till we're
They're
done.
a little bit- yeah.
Certain things
Uh,
don't
They're
react
not even
very well
started
with.
yet.
Right. So
And they don't
yeah,
have
let's-
us.
Why don't we just go ahead and run around the horn and plug what we've got coming? Teague, why don't you go first?
Me? Okay. Hey everybody, my name's Admiral Teag. I'm your buddy. On my channel, I've started doing video essays and uploads. It's time to take the next step. Doing 1 or 2 a month. 1923 Yellowstone is probably going to be pretty huge. We'll be doing discussions of that the day that the episodes drop. And then we'll be also doing, I'll be doing an upload and probably a watch party for every episode of 1923. That has been one of our biggest performers. And then is on the sci-fi thing, Saturday night, Star Trek's 9:30 every Saturday. And that is Enterprise right now. We're up to season 2. We're up to episode 6. We just did Marauders. And you can join us for the biggest and most amazing Star Trek watch party on the Final Frontier with my friend Sean Carter and JT Kirk. It's amazing. We had 500 people at the last one. It's something to be seen. And we also have the new Trek watch parties, but we don't use the Star Trek hashtag, so we could use all the help we could get. Tuesdays and Thursdays I'm around 7:30 Eastern, except when I come do Deep Space Nine and other stuff with you. I'll be around on Thursday next. Do my talk show. We'll do weird news on Thursday. I'll have some weird stuff for you. You'll like it.
I'll have some
Alright.
weird stuff for you.
Cool.
You'll like it. I've heard that before.
I'm from New York. I've seen some weird stuff. When I curate weird news, it's always weird. But I threw my link in the chat. Please subscribe to my channel.
All right, cool.
And thank you for having me. I really
Yes,
appreciated
definitely
this
hit
chance to talk about a show that I'm still closing my blind spot on. It's a great show.
Yeah, no
I'll
problem. Man.
repost that
Good to
link
have you
so
again.
it's clickable for you. There you go.
Cool. Thank you, Beard. And Beard, do you have anything?
Yeah, at some point this week, Squeak Mouse and I will probably be playing some 7 Days to Die. That's kind of been when time permits, so there's not really a set schedule there. So keep subscribe to my YouTube channel or follow me over on X, and that's when you can find out when we're going to be doing something. Thursday I'll be over with Roman of the Empire for Minority Report.
Yeah, Minority Report.
Okay.
Yep.
Yes.
we're
Yeah.
gonna be doing
Looking
that.
forward to that one. Really enjoy that. And then back here on Tuesday, for the next episode here with Jacob. And I don't have anything set in stone just yet, but after the weekend we'll be returning. There is no date exactly for it yet. We'll be doing something a little bit different, probably doing pre-records, not live stuff. So stay tuned to that. Don't give up on us. We will be back for that. And then lastly, coming up, it's a little ways out, but I'm going to plug it anyway. I'll be, I think, on the 28th, episode I'll be over with Pops, and we'll be talking about the Prestige.
Awesome. Yeah.
Oh, nice,
It's a good movie.
nice. Yeah, we just went over that one here too.
Yeah, we went over that one a
Cool.
couple months ago.
Yep.
And yeah, our next show is what is it?
Island in
John
the Sky.
Wayne. It's
Yeah.
Island in the Sky.
Yeah, 1953.
Good movie. Good.
I don't think I've ever
Good
seen it
movie.
or
Good
heard
stuff.
of it, so it's going to be a first watch for me, I believe.
Mando.
Hello, I am Untamed Mando. I will be on Roman's show Thursday. Yeah, Thursday. I'll probably also be streaming on either my Twitch or Kick channel or both tomorrow. I've been trying to do some streams on my my channels again. And then this Saturday, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, please, if you are a Dungeons and Dragons or tabletop role-playing game fan, please swing by my channel. We are playing some Dungeons and Dragons, Call of Cthulhu combined campaign. Basically, we're doing a Call of Cthulhu campaign with D&D 5e rules. So it's a very cool campaign. We're super excited. We were on hiatus for quite a while, and we are just trying to get back into the swing of things. So, like I said, if you like D&D or role-playing games, please swing by Saturday at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Cool. And Shieldwall.
Hey, thanks for having me on. Great discussion. Love DS9 and Star Trek. Yeah, on Thursday I'll be on Roman Show, 5 Pacific Standard Time. We're going to be doing Minority Report. It's got Tom Cruise in it, right? He's in that one.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. And then so interesting. I still got to watch that movie. I saw a long time ago when it first came out. So I guess the second watch will be kind of a refreshing, because I really didn't care for that movie when it first came out. That was kind of, I don't know, weird.
Whatever you do, don't bother reading the book. It's almost completely unrelated yet again, as far as Philip K. Dick goes. It's not the movie's not bad. Age is okay. I liked it. There's
I'll
one
have
dumb
to see it
sequence.
again. I think when I saw it, I'd been working like all week, 12-hour shifts or something, and I was pretty tired. So, but yeah, so we got that coming up on Thursday, and then next week, like we just alluded to before, we got the Island in the Sky 1953 John Wayne movie on this channel. So I don't believe I've ever seen that before. If I did, I didn't know what it was called. I might have saw snippets of it on TV or whatever. But yeah, so looking forward to that. Yeah, so thanks for having me on. It was great being on here with everybody. Teag always brings the heat, and Blair de Blair. So it's great being on here.
Yep, definitely. And yes, surprisingly, I will also be on Roman's show Thursday. So yeah, I'll be on for that. And then Saturday, I will be on over on Dark Hours channel talking Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, which will be fun.
Ooh, that's a good movie.
Nice.
Yeah, I like it.
And then, yep, next week, No Island in the Sky. It's a really good movie. It's a survival movie, which you don't really get to see John Wayne do those kind of movies very much. So it'll be good. I think that's all I got, people. Thanks to the panel. Had a good discussion on this. Always a pleasure to have Teag and Blair on.
Thank you so much for letting me come talk about Star Trek.
Yeah, definitely, man. Good to have you. And thanks to the chat. We would not be as big as we are without the chat. So thank you for that. And we will see y'all next week. And just a heart out, people.
Bye.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
Toodaloo.